Good morning, guys. Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the emergency storage shed for episode 124, I think. I've got to keep checking. This week, well, for a start, we're going to scrap out that thermal printer, that thermal ticket printer machine that we found last week. I did offer it to anyone for $10. A few people were keen, but not local. And I was going to put it in the shop last weekend and it never made it out of the van. So we're going to scrap it this week. We'll do that shortly, but we need to get something out of this shed. And the next port of call is that colourful little vintage cupboard there, which I'm pretty sure is full of old car manuals. So we have to drag them out, make some decisions and work out if there's anything worth eBaying, what we have to do to sell them, because I think some of them might be a bit burnt on the end from a shed fire. So that's what we're going to do now. We'll scrap out that other thing later in the video. We'll get these manuals in first. Quick interruption. This is future Chris here, dropping into the start of this video to say we ran out of time to scrap out this thermal printer. In this video, we will follow it straight away after this video with a separate video on scrapping out this thing. Okay, back to regular programming. And the shed's a bit warmer this week because I've finally uncovered my shed heater and it's going, as you can see now. And I've even spread out a bit of an old doona in front so Coco can have somewhere warm to nap. And if you're wondering what I did with all the farm stuff, well, I didn't process it. I've just duck shoved it to another part of the shed. So if you have a look here, it's all stacked up in a little aisle. I really hope I don't need to get a can of paint out of that end cupboard for a while, because it's going to be a while before I get through all that stuff. I just tend to unbox or sort out one box at a time when I get a moment. Back to the storage shed. Let's open that cupboard and see what's in it. Okay, this little cupboard, it's kind of a cute little cupboard, and I don't think there was anything in the top drawer, no. But in the actual cupboard part, there are a lot of pretty early car manuals. I don't remember what sort. We'll have to go through them. We'll do one shelf at a time, perhaps, or at least I'll explain how I'm going to sort them out and how I plan on selling them. So we'll get the top shelf in on the bench and have a good look at those. As I said, I think some of them may have been a bit charred on the ends, unless that's in another box that I can't remember where they went. These ones don't look too bad from here. But once upon a time, I sourced a large old guillotine. Now, it's been repaired. That's how I bought it. Looks an interesting world, but it has been repaired. Apparently it works fine. It's a pretty serious thing, and I thought it might be handy. Well, I bought it with the idea of cleaning up some old car manuals if they were a bit burnt on the end. If I find that none of these, or at least the ones that are charred, I think these are a little bit, they're not too bad. If I decide it's not worthwhile, I will be selling that guillotine. It's not something I need to keep, it just gets in the road. But looking at these, they're either not the ones or they're not as bad as I remember. Looks like that one has been, yeah, that's definitely been in the fire. And the guillotine's not really going to help that one. So, all right, well, I'd like to probably get rid of that guillotine. It is in the road. Let's get this top shelf of books through and have a look at them. Okay, here's all the car manuals. I've got the whole lot out of the cupboard. We'll go through them. There's some good-looking ones here. Now, back when I started business about 25 years ago, car manuals were the holy grail. And I once bought an entire old garage or, workshop. I once bought their whole stock of old manuals, a lot of Nissan stuff, and I eBayed a lot of them. They went all over the world. I remember a parts manual for one of them made like about $400 plus postage, I think, to Norway. It was just amazing. These days, there's a lot more manuals on eBay. A lot of them have been reproduced, and you can even buy them as a PDF download. So the guys that had a specific car or an old engine, here's a Ronaldson Tippett air-cooled engine. The guys that needed a manual to sort out what their engine, to repair it or service it, now can download most of the time a modern version of the old manual. So that's all they want. They just want to fix their engine or service it. But there are still a lot of guys that want the original books. They just don't seem to bring quite what they used to. This one, I suspect, they might be quite good, being for the Australian vehicles. Lucas, well known for a lot of equipment on Holden stuff, probably other brands as well. They made a lot of electrical stuff, starter motors, wiper motors, all sorts of electrical and lights. So I'll be checking eBay on these. That's my first port of call. Even catalogues and such are quite sought after by collectors, and you can't sometimes get original part numbers and things, which is why these are probably popular. So I'll be checking all these out on eBay. Any that I can't find, or I find only a couple of samples on and they bring in big money, I will be eBaying. Anything I can find that is similar to what I've got, a lot of them are in poor condition. If I can establish a rough price, I'm not going to eBay it, I'll put it in the shop. This one's clearly been stained with oil. By their very nature, a lot of car manuals end up in rough condition. Workshops aren't conducive to keeping pristine paperwork. Car manuals notoriously get a lot of oily fingerprints and smudges, and this one has had some burn damage at the top. So automatic transmissions, Borg Warner, were used in a lot of Ford things, I think. This is a BMC service manual. There's a lot of BMC stuff here, which is British Motor Corporation, I think. And they had a lot of classic British brands. Oh, there's Kirby Lawson lawnmower engines. That's pretty good. Parts breakdowns, exploded views. BMC, a lot of classic brands like Austin, Morris, MG, all those classic British brands. I think were under BMC. There's parts breakdowns. That's not in very good condition either, that manual. And clearly that's had some issues with the fire. So we're not going to get really good examples, but a lot of them are still quite usable. Universal joint kits, catalogue that's off-road and industrial, Repco. So I have sold early Repco catalogues before and they've done quite well. This one's got some staining from smoke perhaps. It doesn't appear to be burnt, it's just very stained along the edges. I don't think it's worth trying to trim these up with the guillotine though. I think that'd be more effort than what it's worth. So that's Repco again. Car and truck oil seals. That's a fairly old Repco logo there. Probably dates back to the 60s. Printed in Australia, 1968. There we go. So that's in good nick inside. Just the page edges are quite black and it's rubbing off a bit. There's an owner and driver's manual for motor trucks, International, L160, L162. And that one would probably guillotine to neaten. But then again, I don't know, I think maybe I'm better off selling them as they are, and if people want to do that themselves, they can. This is still fully readable. Some loose pages though. So I'm not sure if it's going to have any value in that condition. Certainly for eBaying it might not be worthwhile. Cable kits, speedometer cables and assemblies. So this is like an aftermarket brand to suit all these different vehicles. Yeah, so I've got a bit of eBay research to go on these. Morris Oxford service parts list. This one's not in bad condition. Now it's a bit rough at the back, there's pages coming loose. And there's a little bit more modern stuff here. I don't know where this snuck in from. It might have been put in the cupboard from somewhere else. Australian Air Brake Code of Practice. So that's much more modern. Bus and Coach Operators Guidelines, June 2003. So I don't think that came from the workshop where all these others came from. Ronaldson Tippett Industrial Diesel Engines. These were made in Ballarat in Victoria. A workshop manual for Perkins diesel engines. So it's been a bit charred around the edges, but the manual is still quite good. What do we have here? Holden Commodore VN series. This is a bit more modern as well. Holden Calais. Well, there's a couple of books here. So these haven't been in the fire. So there might have been some manuals here from somewhere else. These could sell quite well. They don't have to be very old vehicles to have people chase the manuals. So I'll be, again, checking eBay on those. Then there's some of these Gregory's manuals, which are just a generic car service manual available for all different cars. Some of these can still bring okay money online. XC Ford Fairmont. I used to drive an XA Fairmont. Wish I still had that car. Pretty good condition inside, nice and clean. Just some oily fingerprints in sections. The front's pretty rough. It will clean up a bit better. I should be able to clean that up a bit. Probably in the shop, that one. But I will check eBay. There's a couple of bigger books here. This one's Motor Engineering Volume 1 about engines. It's a Nunes. publication, and it's probably 1940s or 50s, I would think. Doesn't give us a date. So that's quite a good, decent book. Volume 1, I don't know if I've got Volume 2, is this it? Diseases of Livestock, okay. So it's not automotive at all, 1953. Well, we'll check it out though. Might be worth eBaying, maybe not because of its condition. Handbook of the Austin 7 and the Motor Manual 2 and 6, that's a pretty early one. 29th edition, doesn't give a date. I think I've had a book like that once before. Let's quickly go through the rest of the pile. That was Chrysler. Here we have fitting chart 1968, radiator caps, locking fuel caps, radiator hoses catalogue 1959. So typical stuff that a repair workshop would have. Fuel pumps, a Leyland P76, and that book is very rough. In fact, I don't know that that's worth selling at all. It's obviously was closer to the fire than some of the other ones. That's a shame. Operator's instruction book for Cleveland tractors. Cletrac, crawler tractors, okay. Not a very big book and quite rough. But you never know. It might be very rare and someone might just need it. That might even be out of it, is it? Yes, I think that belongs to it. So it's come a bit loose with the pages. PBR were brake equipment, hydraulic brake parts and brake hoses, 1965 catalogue. Again, that's quite blackened on the edge of the book, but it hasn't really affected the book so much. More PBR stuff. That one looks better. This one looks rather charred. We can't even read the front. BMC. 1800 is an Austin, yeah, Austin Morris. But that's got a plastic cover, so yeah, I think we can take the cover off, and the book underneath looks okay, so we might be able to do something with that one. 5-ton trucks and tractors. Parts list, that's not a bad book actually, it looks in good condition. Nice inside. Okay. There's another Gregory's one, that's in very rough condition, HQ-HJ, so that was in the 70s. HQ sedan, I once rolled about 4 times in one of those. I was a passenger, ended up in a paddock on the roof. That was an experience. Yeah. Quite sought after now, these early Holdens. Okay, so that one's probably not going to sell. Commodore VK series, I think VK were the first Commodores, were they? Early 80s, that's in better condition. Morris Minor workshop manual, and that's really copped a fair bit of the fire. It's melted the cover. Yeah, can be a bit hard to work out what to do with those. Don't think they're going to be eBayable. By the time I describe all the faults, no one's going to bid. BMC accessories, that manual's quite good. Alright, last of this pile we have wheel alignment specifications. That looks more modern. Oh no, 72 to 83. Okay, that book looks okay. Workshop manual here, another BMC one for not sure what vehicles. And that's pretty rough, and that's the one we pulled out earlier that's been quite charred on the end. Mazda Operator's Manual E2000, E3, they were a van, I think. Probably 1970s. Motorcycle Accessories and Spares, a Melbourne company. That's a nice little catalogue. Yeah, more for put out by a particular business. Very good. Toyota H engine repair manual diesel. That one's not too bad. Little crunched at the back, no fire damage. Service booklet for Hino trucks and buses. Milling for defence trainees. So 1944 reprinted. So that's a metal workbook for the Defence Forces. That's in pretty good condition actually. Steel chainsaw owner's manual for, that's a pretty small saw. That one's occasional user saw 010, yep. Only a small one there, just a gardening chainsaw. Another Gregory's manual, that's in pretty good condition for a Ford Fairlane. Another BMC one here, service parts list. And the last one, another BMC quick reference catalogue. So not a lot of them are badly damaged by fire, but a few are, but the others are pretty rough with staining and just being knocked around a lot from general use. Right, I'm going to spend a fair bit of time on eBay getting a rough list of what I can just price out straight into the shop, and I'll have a small pile of ones that I suspect might be worth trying on eBay, and we'll see how we go from there. Be back with you shortly. So after a lot of eBay research and other sites and a few coffees and copious note-takings, I've come up with a list of prices, and basically I've sorted them into lots here. We have $5 per book here. Some of these would be much better, but the condition really pulls them back. But I think they're all worth trying $5 because even if someone's not really interested in having an original owner's manual, there might be valuable information that they can still save, and I guess you could photocopy the pages if it's going to deteriorate more. So I think there's some value there. These ones are $10 each, and these ones here. Again, they cleaned up pretty well. Some of them are down on condition. They would have been better if they were obviously not so damaged. Some cleaned up really well. Anything with a glossy cover, it has a plastic film over it, you can pretty much, I was just spraying it with a window cleaner and wiping over it, and a lot of the grease and marks and even the smoke staining came off. So they're pretty good. Obviously the ones that are paper you can't spray with any liquid, but some of these folders came up better. I didn't go to too much trouble because they were damaged in other ways, but these are all $10 each ones. Based on what I found online, that would have been a nice one, but I think it's had some water damage too because some of the pages are actually stuck. So I guess if there was a fire, there could have well been water sprayed everywhere. Some of these, yeah, some are in good nick, but I found quite a number of them on eBay and they're readily available. So just because they're in good condition and they're older doesn't mean they're going to be worth more. It depends on supply and demand, if there's a lot of them out there. And that's how I base my prices. If I find 4 or 5 of them listed and some with cheaper prices, or some didn't sell, as in it might have been a buy it now for $20 and it hadn't sold, that tells me that it's not worth a great deal even in good condition. So they're all $10 ones in the shop. These ones here, a little bit better. I went $20 on these. Now, some of them are still a little down in condition, but this one's 1932. And there were a few of them online, and some of them were selling for quite a bit, you know, up around $60, $70. This one is pretty good inside. And then I saw others that didn't sell, so it does depend on who's looking at the time. I'll see if I can find a picture of the actual car. There we go, the Austin 7. So that's early 1930s or probably late 20s. I think the booklet's dated 1932. So, and that's an original handbook, so we should be able to get 20 on that. There's some other nicer ones here, but I did find them online, either not selling or not bringing a great deal. But I think the right person would snap that up for $20. Of course, through the shop I don't have postage, so they're getting it less than what they'd get it online, because something like this would near cost. Certainly internationally it'd cost more than $20 to post. This one is only really just a booklet, but I think it's got some value given that it's all the parts breakdowns of these particular Ronaldson Tippett engines. There's quite a few pages. I think there's about 10 or a dozen pages. So even though it's really only a small booklet, I still think the right person to jump on that for $20. And then some of these other ones are in pretty good condition. This being a lawnmower engine one, I found a few of these and they were selling, not the same actually, repair manual rather than the parts list, and they were selling quite well. That was a nice one too, as I discussed earlier in the video, and these are in better condition as well. Some of these folders did clean up very well. That was quite smoke stained and it cleaned up very well. So that's BMC accessories, which is all your little extra bits and pieces, driving lights, cigarette lighters, seat covers, seat belts, and tow bars. I would imagine a collector would be pretty keen on something like this, and there can't be too many of these around. I didn't find many. I found some, enough to indicate that I think if I get $20 I'll be happy. And you can see these actually cleaned up pretty well. The Department of Defense one, I didn't find the exact one, but I found enough similar to think that it's not worth much more than 20. So we're going to try 20 on all those. I've got all these written down on my list, and we'll have a look at that shortly. The other ones we had were, well, this service booklet I don't think is worth anything. It's just details of a particular car. Half the pages have been ripped out, so, and it's not overly old. I think it's 1980s, so that can probably go in the recycle bin. These are the pick of them. These are the gems that I'm going to try on eBay. We have the motorcycle accessories and spares booklet. This is from a Melbourne business, and it's in excellent condition. I did find one online only, and the guy was asking about $65 for it. It hadn't sold, but I think I might try that at 40 or something online. We'll see what happens. This one's an owner's manual for a Mazda, and I think these were either a van or a truck. I did a bit of reading about them, and I think this one shows the chassis of a truck, but I think it's the same book for a van. And the Parkway 26 Mazdas initially had a rotary engine, and they were only made in the Japanese market. This one doesn't show the rotary, it shows the other standard diesel and petrol engines. But all the same, there's not much information out there on these, so I thought I might as well try it. Because I couldn't find any online, that is a prompter for me to try it, because you just never know if there's two people wanting it. And I started at an auction, it could go through the roof. There was a few of these online, and all of them made pretty good money, like above $50. So even though this one's got a bit of damage on the back, I'm going to try that online too. And these, I reckon, are the best two of the lot. And I saw, even though these are only volume 5 and volume 7, I found quite a lot of these bringing close to $100 a go. And some sellers were actually asking a lot more than that. So I'm going to certainly try those on eBay. So we'll follow these on my eBay series, which I'm about to put another episode up shortly. So that's what we're going to eBay. Everything else I've established a price for the shop. Let's have a look at the notepad. Okay, so how much value did we get out of that cupboard? Well, here's the $5 ones, and then the $10 ones. I've listed them all, and I'll mark them off as they sell so we can revisit this list. So we had 155 on the first page. Then we went to a few more $10 ones. Then into the, there was a couple of $15 ones. Those books, the livestock book, the motor engineering volume 1 and the motor manual. So 15 each on those. Then the $20 books. So we ended up with a total there of $470 if we get those prices. One more $20 book. And then we've got the eBay items that really at this stage we don't know. I'm not sure what I'll start them at, but I will be running them through as an auction first. If they don't sell as an auction, I might list them as a buy it now and then price them in the shop as well. So 470 plus some eBay gems. Who knows where this figure will end up? That's a lot of money out of one little cupboard. It'll take a while to get through them, certainly through the shop as well, but we'll keep an eye on this list over time. And I think my sales figures are realistic, and I think 20 years ago they would have actually made more. But as I explained earlier, the market has dropped off a little because there's so many available reprinted ones and also electronic versions. And I did find a few of these that actually were online available as PDF formats. So prices have dropped a little bit, but there's still some gold in these books. So that finishes up the new stuff out of the emergency storage shed for this week, and the value, which I haven't actually added to the total from the shed yet, but I'll do that down the track. And now, as for this thermal ticket printer, I've started scrapping it here, but you will see that in a separate video. I'll try and put that up next. Apologies for getting your hopes up there. I figure I'm better off keeping the videos on track. This one was the workshop manuals, and we're going to add that to the total value shortly. We'll see how they go. And this thermal ticket printer, we will scrap out, see what we can save, see what value of scraps in it. I did offer it around for $10. No one took it. Probably not worth much more, but we'll see how we go. That will be in the next video on this channel. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.